Hi guys, welcome to the Revive Stronger podcast. I'm your host as always, Steve Hall, and I'm welcomed by Mike Israetel for another great Q&A. And actually I should have a word with Mike because I know he's been bad mouthing me over on RP Plus. And now I've even given RP Plus a plug as well. So for bad mouthing me, I've given you a plug. There you go, Mike.
Steve, I'm not just bad-mouthing you on RP+. I'm bad-mouthing you in every conceivable forum. I personally message the top coaches that you interview and say, don't do this interview. Steve is a bad person.
Well, that says a lot about me and about you because they still come on and do the interviews. So,
totally. I guess you're just that qualified.
I'm that polite as well. So anyway, that's this will actually come out after we've done our seminar over in London, most likely. Wow. I'm sure that will have gone down well. And we have an episode that we've already recorded coming out before that seminar. So we've got many in the tank. And we have a question now from Jared Feather. Well, actually, this was one I had for Jared, and he wanted Mike to kind of lay in on it because he thought Mike would have a great response. And this was talking about something that gets spoken a lot about, we see online, and that is kind of the prime driver for hypertrophy. And some people argue that it's a progressive tension overload, not the volume that is the most important thing to consider. And I just love you to weigh in on that, Mike.
Mm-hmm. So, so first of all, it's definitely both. The next question is, what is the sort of relative contribution of both? We can surmise a thought experiment to sort of play around with these ideas. So if I gave identical twins the same genetics, right, and I gave them each a training program, one individual trained from MV to MRV, deload, repeat with just their legs, just quads, just squatting, with a 100 pounds, which was their 40 RM. And they never could increase the weight. And another individual was training, the other twin was training, let's say the twins have a squat max of 500 pounds. The other individual was only training with 450 pounds plus, but instructed to progressively also between his MEV and MRV, which, as you understand, would be a very low volume at a 90% intensity and above, but was allowed to progress in weight by, whatever small increments he deemed necessary on the bar over time. No drop sets, none of that bullshit. Right? Who would grow more muscle? It's a tough question because both are training very highly suboptimally. I will tell you this. If both of them are reasonably well trained, I sure to God hope they are if they're squatting 500 for a max. Not everyone's Andy Bolton pulling 660 for a one RM deadlift the first time he ever tried it. It's, by the way, completely insane for those listening. A true Englishman, I say, Scott, Steve. There you go. That's what you have to live up to. No pressure.
And I've got Eddie Hall as well, so I'm doubly screwed.
Eddie Hall, yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you must be related or some shit. Maybe 1,000 years ago or something. So, wow, British deadlifting is definitely a thing. Holy shit. And so if you're dealing with relatively advanced individuals, man, you ask most powerlifters, am I going to get bigger squatting 90% plus for, 4 total working sets, 10 total working sets a week for doubles and singles? Folks who've trained similarly to that, because there are programs that do similar things, will say, no, fuck no. You're going to get strong as fuck if you don't die. That's going to be the consensus. but you're not going to put on size. You might actually lose a little bit of size, get a more streamlined appearance in your quads. Whereas the person squatting the 100 pounds for, within their volume landmarks, Brad Schoenfeld has actually had studies similar to that with various muscles in that 30 RM type of situation, and folks have put on a lot of muscle, right? So the reality is that actually at the extremes, volume wins, right? And this hypothetical sort of study has already been done in smaller, smaller, less extreme applications. In research, like they've trained lifters with singles and doubles, and only beginners put on size doing singles and doubles, unless they're in like a really like marked caloric surplus, and then they're going to put on size no matter what. They put on a lot of fat too. And kind of in the strength world, everyone knows weightlifters, powerlifters, strongmen. If you want size, you do reps. Now, that doesn't mean 30 reps. That means for powerlifters and weightlifters, 5 reps or 8 reps, or Boris Shako, when he wants to put size on people, he does, 5 to 10 reps per set usually. But if you talk to Boris Shako and you were like, can I get to being my biggest with singles and doubles? He'd be like, what? No, that's insane. Everybody would say that actually trains or coaches. And the studies would agree with them. So when people say, now here's something very important. If we're going to be critical thinkers and scientific thinkers and logical thinkers, we have to be very particular with definitions, and we have to mean what we say. And when we say things, when we make claims, we have to mean them. We can't be like, well, I didn't mean that. You know what I mean? Like, be like, oh, this guy assaulted me at the bar. And it'd be like, so what did he do? Be like, he yelled at me. And you're like, oh, okay, but that's not assault. Like, the police don't consider that assault. You're like, well, I didn't mean like assault. Like, okay, hold on. Like, if you do that in court, the lawyer's just going to be like, see ya, the judge is going to make fun of you and you're going to leave, right? So when people say getting bigger is about progressive intensity overload, well, what about 450 pounds for doubles and singles is violating that rule? Nothing. That's exactly what it is. So there's no stepping back and being like, well, that's an extreme example. It is an extreme example that validates every single rule. So they'll say, but I didn't really mean, right? And then they say, well, with like a reasonable amount of volume, okay. So so volume is still a key, right? And they're like, well, and then the debate goes downhill, right? So if we're really serious about saying it's tension, it's progress and tension that we're really going after, are we really prepared to defend that with data and experimentation and even just a mental thought experiment? And the answer is really, when it comes down to it, no, we're not. The next thing people do after that is say, okay, some amount of volume and intensity is required. Oh, that's a much better, and that's very true. But we can get more specific, and this is was discussed in my debate with Victor Black. I'm sure you remember that one.
Yep.
And the question then is, okay, but what measure of volume and intensity progression is important? Right. Volume progression is a different thing altogether. It's a different question. But how much are we going to bias our program towards progress intention versus supplying lots of volume? And the answer there is it's probably looking like 2/3 to 1/3 is a good place to start getting a finer tune of things. Like, when you're like, you don't know where you are on the map exactly, but you're like, all right, we're by the drinking fountain in the mall, and that's here. Okay, we're going to start looking here. Oh, here's like this store. Okay, we're right here, right? You don't start looking just anywhere. What do I mean by 2/3, 1/3? That means that your program cannot be relatively low volume, like 1/3 bias to volume, and like lots of intensity progression. What's an example of that in the real world? Like, you really concerned about big PRs in your lifts for like sets of 5 and sets of 8, so much so that you only do like 2 or 3 working sets per session to get those big fucking PRs. And then someone's like, hey, you want to train legs again like Thursday? You're like, no way, man, light session. They're like, why? Like, because I got to hit more PRs on next Monday. You're like, I feel like you think you're a power lifter, but you're not. What about putting in the volume? You're like, fuck volume. It's all about tension overload. It's like, all right, that would be like a 1/3, 2/3. You're still doing some good work, multiple sets, but you're like really biasing it. So it's the other way that's probably best for hypertrophy. Your number one priority is do a shitload of work. But now that you're doing the shitload of work, you should be focused on slowly but surely progressing in weight on the bar by small increments. Bodybuilders at the highest levels, and actually through all levels, train with a very wide diversity of practices. And all of them, but for like a few random percent, train with at least decent volumes. This is one of the benefits of the Victor Black debate, was Victor Black actually ran the numbers on Dorian Yates' routines. And he's like, you know what the average set number is? I was like, what? He's like, 14. I was like, 14 working sets per week for body part. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's right there for advanced, really strong lifters, is right between MEV and MRV, man. I mean, that's right there. So, you know, if Dorian Yates claimed to have gotten big off of 3 working sets per body part per week, you know, we'd have a fucking problem. But there are no bodybuilders. There's crazy HIIT advocates, but none of them are jacked or trained for very long. But nobody's really saying that. So coming back to the question, when people say it's not the volume, it's the intensity progression, that only assumes that we're doing a buttload of volume anyway. And then what happens with intensity progression being a factor is that because volume is weight times sets times reps, weight times sets times reps, intensity times sets times reps, as your intensity goes up over time, so does your volume. So you can't avoid a volume progression. If you try to not progress volume while progressing intensity, et cetera, then you probably won't grow nearly as much as you could have. So my best guess, looking at the evidence, is that you gotta take volume very seriously, but not just do sets of 40 all the time, because that's not gonna be optimal, and not just never increase weight on the bar, but definitely make progress in intensity that is, slow and steady, so that eventually, you get something like Tom Platz used to squat like 500 for 20 or 405 for 30 and stuff. If you took Tom Platz and you're like, I like why you're training, but let's get you to squat like 900 for a double because that'll maximize the tension, Tom's not going to get any bigger legs than that. As a matter of fact, he went head-to-head in a squat challenge against Fred Hatfield back in the 80s. Fred was squatting 900. Yeah. Fred had smaller legs by 2/3 or some shit, That's just not how you get big legs. Another piece of sort of anecdotal evidence is cyclists, velodrome cyclists, who actually do mostly a concentric-only movement and who didn't always lift weights, always had big-ass legs. Why? Because they did a basically shitload of metabolite training right on that bike. It was sets of a minute at a time, tons of lactate, plenty of tension concentrically at least, and they got big fucking legs, man. They got bodybuilder-sized legs. But individuals in, Olympic weightlifting, for how big the guys are, back when they didn't do too many reps in old school training, they weren't that muscular. Like their quads weren't that big. And when they started to get big is when they started doing sets of 5, sets of 10s. It's just one of these things, like it's cool, like from a book nerd PubMed perspective to be like, intensity is what's going on. Go find me a program with large lifters that prioritizes almost exclusively intensity, not volume. Even weightlifters, even strongmen. You'll see strongmen doing like leg presses and like squats for sets of 8. You'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be like, I'm getting fucking bigger. Get out of my face. You'd be like, why don't you just do heavy? And you'd be like, what's wrong with you? That's dumb, right? And just to add to the pile, what do your muscles feel like after really heavy low volume training? They don't feel like anything, Steve. Your joints feel like shit. Your nervous system, your just psychology feels depressed, but you don't get a pump. You don't get a burn. You're not like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I felt that in my quads. You don't feel like shit anywhere. You feel it in your soul, right? But with sets of 10, sets of 20, you feel it in the muscles way more, and there's that feeling isn't much, but it's at least indicative of something physiologically is going on that's probably growing you. So, and now, am I saying that sets of 1 or 2 won't grow you at all? No, but is it going to grow you much less than prioritizing the volume? Yes. Can you prioritize volume at the very expense of any progressions in intensity? No, I don't think that's a good idea. As a matter of fact, there are some really good, I think Eric Helms and I chatted about this on some podcast or another about what it is that stops you from being able to train for sets of 30. And let's say you were benching 100 kilos and you got to benching it for multiple sets of 30 easy. Well, it's been shown, and Menno did a really good, Greg and Menno have been talking about this. Menno's been talking about it for a long time, actually. Greg recently talked about it in a review of his, where, somewhere between like 20 and 30% 1RM is just not enough disruption to do anything at that point. We're just by no means clear there's enough tension to activate anything. It's really hard to amass any kind of damage at that point, even if that's a factor. Jesus Christ, it's like baby weight. So at some point, you have to increase the weight on the bar, tension, to stay in that effective range of intensity. But am I going to say that if someone only trained at the bottom end of that range, sets, 30 RMs or light or heavier, that's it, 30 RMs or heavier, but just exclusively really stayed anywhere between 30 and 28 RM, only increased intensity when the weight started to get too easy, so that the 30 RM he used to have started to be a 32 RM. If that person just pushed those weights up just like there, that would be a very fucking jacked person if they ate appropriately over a long time. Would he be maximally jacked? No, especially if he was more fast twitch, probably not. Still be a big fucking person. Velodrome cyclists, more or less, they just started squatting relatively recently, last couple of decades. Before that, they didn't, and they were still big as fuck. Well, how are they so big? Because that's basically what they did, and it works. So there's my spiel.
It's a great answer, and I'm glad I got you to answer it. And I'm glad Jared got you to answer it. And I think I've been there myself, where I have tried to maybe prioritize almost both. Like I've tried to prioritize increasing tension and increasing volume. I've done that almost maybe slightly extreme DUP, where I have like very specific strength days with very specific volume days. I ended up just hitting my head against a brick wall because my volume took away from any of the tension I could achieve, and then the tension took away from any volume I was getting, and I wasn't really
totally. That's that's another thing that would be a whole separate topic, but we could just kind of prelude here. It's a big thing that Chad and James and I cover in Scientific Principles book. It's that there's the specificity interference, and that's a big takeaway from extreme DUP. DUP is good because it lets you manage fatigue. DUP is not good because it allows you to hit multiple modalities at the same time. That's not what it's doing. Like if you do sets of 15 on Mondays, sets of 8 on Wednesday, and sets of 1 or 2 on Friday. Man, that's just not a great way to train, because like you said, you're too fatigued from the volume to be strong enough to benefit from those singles. And because you're doing singles on a certain day and it's such low volume, you're cutting your overall volume short so that you're not getting a huge benefit from overall volume. And then you're kind of like telling your body, hey, come this way. And it's like, okay. And then later you're like, hey, what about this way? Like, oh, okay. And what about that way? It's like, okay. And then it ends up just being in the middle again. Now, is it a good, decent amount of volume and intensity? Will you still progress? Totally. But there's, we're splitting hairs, but at the high level, you have to split hairs. Give your body less confusing stimulus that takes it in some particular direction, I think is a really good idea. And, I think that for bodybuilding, on average, volume is king, but intensity is queen. So, it's a very gendered answer. Maybe it's a matriarchy, right? Volume is the boss and intensity is the assistant. The boss is useless without the assistant, but, the boss is more important. So you got to make sure 2/3 of your program should be focused on, okay, volume, 2/3 kind of in an idea sense, a priority sense, and then 1/3 of your focus should be on, okay, given that we're doing good volumes between MEV and MRV, let's find ways to get stronger. Because I've seen some people advocate for programs that increase volume over the long term without increasing weight on the bar at all. I think that's short-sighted. I don't think that's the best way to go about it. But going 2.5 kilos per week up on the bar is great for hypertrophy. Trying to jump 5 kilos or 10 kilos per week on the bar at the expense of volume, I don't think makes much sense.
Mm-hmm. No, great answer. And we'll move on to Theodore Basher's question, who is actually a Patreon supporter of the podcast. So big appreciation to Theodore. And he said, I would love to hear Mike's opinion on competing age for natties. So age for the first competition. He said he once stated gaining muscle more is a young man's game. Becoming lean has to be an old man's game then. So really, I would like to know about his experiences with clients regarding that topic, like training from 20 to 30, constantly massing, maintaining and mini cutting without dropping body fat levels below 8% or lower, and then decide to compete. So, yeah.
So it's a very interesting question because it has a multitude of answers based on priorities, et cetera. Like, for example, Steve Hall, you're a bodybuilding coach, at least in part. And I mean, how old are you?
28.
You don't look a day over 29. So, you know, and you had been competing for years already. I would never tell someone who wants to be a really good high-level coach to not compete because they need the experience. You know, there's nothing like competing to give you experience as a competitive coach. And also, competition doesn't really fuck your long-term development up that much, but it can, especially if you're excessive with it. So I'm going to give out a very general average layout. Average, super fucking average, and it's going to differ based on a variety of things, but I think this is a good way to start thinking about it. Let's say you start training at 15 to 17 years old. I think if you're in, let's say you're in it for the long haul, your goal is to be as good at bodybuilding as possible, and you're going to stay lifetime drug-free. Super awesome. What you might want to do is definitely not compete until you're over 20. I know a shitload of teen competitors, and half of them are fucking burnt out of the sport. It's also fucking pointless. What are you showing off, motherfucker? You ain't shit yet. You don't have any muscle. Get out of here. It's always weird to see people on stage that have been training for like 2 years and like decide to do a show. Or like, why? Right? Get fucking bigger, period. So up until you're 20 years old, I would recommend under very few circumstances you're going to be competing. Between the age of 20 and 25, you can do 1 to 3 competitions. 3 if it's not a big deal for you to compete, you're naturally lean and you want more experience. 1 if you're really like, you know, just a competition really fucks you up, and you naturally gain muscle better when you're a little fatter, and or, you know, you don't want to prioritize, or you really want to prioritize eventually competing as a much bigger individual. Notice what we can rule out. I don't think it's a good idea to wait until you're 25 or older to do your first competition in most cases. I think you got to try it out at least once. But I think it's fine if you don't. I also don't think you should be competing once a year because remember, 1 to 3, right? 20 to 25, that's what, 5, 6 years? If you compete once a year, that's way more than 3 competitions. Competing once a year, yes, it makes you feel like you're an IFBB pro and you talk about the season and fucking competitive seasons coming up. That's nice, but it's really impeding you from making long-term gains because you spend way too much time dieting and being too lean. Or too lean to make progress at fastest rates. So after, you know, between age 25 and 30, I think you can compete 2 to 4 times potentially. And then 30 plus, it really depends on the level of development and your goals, etc. Then you could potentially just fucking compete a lot. And I would say between 35 and 40 is when you should be competing the most, because that's probably when you're going to be your best in bodybuilding, 35 to 45. And that seems to be the case with natty or not natty. And that's when you want to definitely compete a lot because, you know, you don't have too much more muscle to add at that point. And competition is not only a way to show off, but it is a way to progressively get freakier and freakier and freakier lean. Jared always says that the top natural pros are old guys that are so fucking lean it doesn't make sense. And it took them a long time to get that old man grainy look. And it's just something you can't fuck with at age 22. There's just no 22-year-olds really look like that, you know. And this is, I guess, same thing. It's just not drug dependent. It's the same thing in a non-drug free sport. Matter of fact, thinking about it now, natty or not, it would be the same advice actually. And actually the advice is even more biased probably to competing later if you're not natty, because if you're not natty, you got to take all kinds of fucked up shit to get in shape for a show. And that's just why you heard it. So if you want to be huge eventually, and you're not nearly to the size that you know you can achieve, why are you using really gnarly pre-contest drugs to destroy your health and to also at the same time preclude you from getting as big as you could have in the same time frame? Like, why do that? So for natties, I think it's actually less of a problem. But I think that's the general layout. And of course, it's highly modifiable. But the sort of big take homes are, like, if you're 35, you had better start fucking competing. I turned 34 yesterday, and I will be competing next year and probably a lot more from now on if my health holds up. Because I'm going to be next year getting to be about as big as I want to be with trade-offs of sports supplements, etc. And then it's time to put the shit on stage and start getting for leaner and leaner and leaner and leaner and leaner, old man lean. And then, the other take home is like, look, if you're under 20 years old, I just don't recommend competing at all, or maybe once. If you're under 25 years old, you can compete a couple times, but don't turn into one of these people that's at every show, because that's a real knock against your potential to just be bigger. So.
No, I have to completely concur, and happy birthday for yesterday. I should have realized, because I remember last year I was with you for your birthday.
That's right.
You trained twice.
And that's, what did I do for my birthday? I woke up feeling super sick, and then I trained and I felt better, and I did work the rest of the day. It was a great day. Everyone forgot it was my birthday, which was amazing. Not everyone, a couple of friends remembered. I fucking, like people say happy birthday and they expect you to feel happy. Like, I didn't accomplish a dick on my birthday. Wish my mom a happy birthday. That was a tough day for her. I didn't do anything. And also, I took my birthday off of Facebook last year, because last year I got something like 2,000 happy birthday things, and I was like, hell no. It's just people you don't know. Like, I don't even know them as followers. I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't even know who the fuck you are. How the hell are you my Facebook friend? And they're like, happy birthday, Dr. Mike, or happy birthday, Mike, best wishes. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And, like, at this point, it would take me 2 hours to say, like, I like all this stuff. And I really like to do that because I don't want to be a dick. So, I'm just not doing this anymore. Birthday removed.
Very wise. I'm going to do that, because literally I didn't have that many messages, but I had a lot, and I took the next day to go through every single one and thank them.
Why? Yeah, fuck that, man.
It's me being that polite Brit again.
Exactly. I'd like to do the same thing, so if I can get out of it, that'd be great.
No, I thought that was a brilliant answer, and I concur with all your points in that. It's people love competing. I see it all the time. People love competing year to year, and they just don't improve, and they actually get worse. And that's the thing I really hate seeing with kind of, I don't know if it's the same in drug-free sport. Drug sports, I guess it's less as in like a thing.
In drug sports, you can still improve, okay, but not your best when you compete a lot. But the worst news is that it degrades your health much more. The shit people take to get in shape for a show is not some shit you want to take unless it's a show that is important to you. Like, you take third at the fucking Mr. Kansas and you ran fucking 10 vials of Tren to get there. Like, I'm sorry, nobody knows why you did that. And it's just like, okay, you got to have some amount of health you can afford to degrade and still live a decent life as an older individual after your career is over. You got to save that up for when the shit matters, right? So for when, you're at the higher level and you're winning shows that you're training for shows that you need to win, want to win, then you have an arsenal to throw at your body and still be okay. But if you're one of these guys that starts juicing to the gills at age 18, and I know people like that, what are you going to have at the time you get to 32? You're going to be retired, because it was the ultimate diss ever. For some reason or another, Boston Lloyd, I'm sure you know who that is, was talking shit to John Meadows. This is the nicest person in the world. Oh. And there's a Facebook comment. He said, I'm making like $10,000 a week or something like that, and I'll be making more than you or twice as much as you when I'm your age. And John Meadows' response is, "You'll be dead by the time you're my age." No. And it got like 4,000 likes, and Boston Lloyd's got like 5. It was just like, no, Boston Lloyd, you're not going to make it to 45. You're just not. So it's one of those things that people in drug bodybuilding have to consider the health stuff. And if we're real serious, competing too often is just not going to get you bigger. Drugs are not drugs, and the transition, in drugs, momentum is still a thing with drug bodybuilding. It's a huge thing, and also the body water transition between cutting and massing for drugs is like really bad for your health, and it's unbelievably uncomfortable. You'll have guys compete at 110 kilos, and next week will be 125 kilos.
Wow.
Like, you can't walk around like that because your back cramps up, your calves cramp up. Fucking who knows what your kidneys are doing. And it's one of those things where people are like, oh, you massing again? You're like, yeah, I would not want to mass, but I have to because my show's in another 6 months. I got 2 months of massing. You know, massing for 2 months, you can take all the drugs in the world. And at a high level, muscle takes time to grow. It takes 6-8 months of proper protocol, all that stuff, all the supplements, but time. And like we said, lots of volume and slowly incremental resistance. That's how you get better, not like just blasting the shit. And then again, here's the deal. If you say, I'm going to compete a lot, but I also want to get bigger, the amount of drugs you have to take for all of that to happen is unbelievable. And you're just not going to last that long. You're just going to start fucking dying. Because then it's one of those things where you're never at a time when you can take less drugs because you're either competing or you're trying to put on mass and there's no in between.
Yeah.
So.
And I think I just want to flag up with something I think is really important for the listeners to consider is also the kind of the social life, the relationships, all of those sort of things, work. Like when you're competing all the time, it's a selfish sport. And for what end, really? Like you get a metal trophy at best as a natural athlete. And even as someone who's on drugs, like you're not going to go, unless you're competing for like Mr. Olympia, you're not earning your big money this way. So you've got work, social life, friends, family to consider as well. And if you're competing every year, I can only imagine what would like. I wouldn't be able to sustain that. I wouldn't be able to enjoy the sport.
And most people are not planners in the sense that they don't think about that. They're quite short-sighted, and I've talked to so many people who are like 27, 28 years old. They're like, oh yeah, I used to compete in bodybuilding.
Wow.
And I'm like, to me, it's so alien to say that at that age. I'm like, well, so what happened? Did you get hurt? And they're like, nah, man, fuck that sport. You know, it just takes so much out of you. And now I have a family and stuff. Meanwhile, John Meadows over here has a fucking whole family of kids and wife, and he competes, you know, regularly because he wasn't that guy doing, you know what I mean? Like he never burnt out. And a lot of times people, you know, burning out is not up to you, but more times than not, it is up to you, destroying your entire young adult. Like I knew guys like in college, I was lifting heavy, eating lots of food, loving life and growing. And I did my fair share, although usually less than most, but I did my fair share of partying and having fun adventures. When I'm a boring adult now, I party much less, not at all. And I mostly keep my, you know, shit on the grind and do what it takes to get bigger. But some guys did it the other way around. I knew people in college that were eating out of Tupperware all the time, like undergrad, and doing 3 shows a year. They don't bodybuild anymore. And it's like, well, you sure as hell never hit your peak. I'll tell you that. You know, retired at age 26 means you hardly become. How many champions are there at 26 years old or younger? Somebody wins the Olympia at under 30, and people are like, wow, that's a big deal. So in a natural bodybuilding, like, that's almost unheard of. So.
No, yeah, great answer. And we'll move on to the next question. And this is actually kind of one I heard somewhere on social media regarding the volume landmarks. It wasn't a specific question for myself, but I think it was someone who wanted it kind of addressed. But I don't think it's been addressed before. They haven't addressed it past you. If they have, then let me know. But it was regarding the fact that your maximal adaptive volume is a moving target. And so on a week-by-week basis for hypertrophy, you're looking to move with it so that you can keep adapting at the best rate. So you adapt and need more. And so you get to a point where you hit the MRV, so maximal recoverable volume, deload, and recycle back to your minimum effective volumes. And the question was kind of, how is the minimum effective volume now usable? Is the deload really resetting everything? If you're adapting to things, is your minimum effective volume now not elevated? And it would just be interesting to kind of hear your comments on that.
Yeah, it is elevated, but the degree to which it is elevated depends on exercise selection. So if you altered all your exercises, your minimum effective volume would be just about what it was last time. If you altered half of your exercises, it would be a little bit higher. If you altered none of them and restarted, it would be not so high. So basically, because of the novelty effect of new exercises, they can lower your minimum effective volume. If you alter new exercises too often, you screw over the momentum and the specificity part of training, and so you're fucking yourself over the other way. So in reality, over the course of a macro cycle, your minimum effective volume is going to go up with every single mesocycle. But when you come back all the way around to the next macro cycle, your minimum effective volume might go down again because of different modalities you were training. So for example, your minimum effective volume for metabolite training occurs, and then you do a low volume maintenance phase. Well, your minimum effective volumes fall every single week. Then when you start back on heavy volume sets of 8 to 12 as the next mesocycle, you got two factors. One, your body's not really used to that rep range, so its minimum effective volume is going to be lower. And also you have a month of low volume resensitization phase behind you. Now your minimum effective volume is going to be 0 to 2 sets higher than it was last year, because it goes up all the time, but not as high as you would think. So because of these alterations and phases, your minimum effective volume does go up, but it doesn't go up nearly as much as you think. And in some cases, it'll go up a lot if you keep exactly the same exercises and the same rep ranges. But remember, rep ranges are different. So for example, if you have sets of 8 versus sets of 10 or sets of 12, sets of 12 give you a burn and a metabolite effect that 8s don't give you. And because of that, they're novel, and you have to do a little bit less of them to still get some hypertrophy. So then it's one of those things where your minimum effective volume doesn't jump up much. But if you do 8s one mesocycle and then do 8s in the exact same exercise the next mesocycle, yeah, your minimum effective volume goes up. Now, it still recycles because deloading does reduce your minimum effective volume quite a bit. But at that point, yeah, it still gives you room, but not as much room. So, if you progress by 50 pounds on the bar in your first meso, you're only going to go 25 pounds on the next meso. One, because you're more resistant to adaptation, but two, because your minimum effective volume is going to have to be a little bit higher than it usually is.
Okay. No, that's a great answer. I know when if people know your methods, mostly of like when you're going from a mesocycle to a mesocycle, something changes, whether it be an exercise, whether it be a repetition range is slightly increased. So that kind of compensates for that factor.
To some extent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess there's a lot of programs, and I wonder what your thoughts are on where they basically just keep things. And we spoke about this a bit off air, actually, I think, where you're keeping things just kind of the same for a long period of time and kind of not making changes until something isn't seeing a result. So maybe it is kind of like almost a limited amount of periodization is within that, and it's just mostly programming for hypertrophy.
You can do that. I don't think it's the best way to go about things. I think that at the beginning of every mesocycle, every mesocycle in bodybuilding, you have to train at what your best guess is your minimum effective volume, because then you can grow and that'll be really good. But you don't have to train super hard to get growth. A lot of people are like, why can't I just jump to like my MAV? Like, why can't I just jump in the middle of the two? Oh, you sure can. You may get great results. The thing is that why are you passing up the easiest, least injury risky, least fatigue accumulating growth that builds momentum into the rest of your mesocycle? Why the fuck would you do that? Like, if we could have, zero injury risk growth that didn't accumulate any fatigue, that's the only way I'd ever train again, but so this is close to that. It should be awesome to train like that. But there's like a bro code, right? Where you're like, if it's not fucking, I'm not fucking throwing up. Like today I did I'm part of like some more advanced multi-meso progression, but today I did a leg workout just before this where I hit huge PRs on relative PRs on hack squats and squats, volume and intensity and stuff. And, it was a really hard workout, but literally like 2 months of workouts before this weren't quite that hard. And some of them at the beginning were actually pretty easy. But that built so much momentum that I'm now PRing like fucking crazy and have huge, way bigger legs than I did because I built that foundation. So people are always quick to rush. Find your MEV, work through it, and then if someone says you should stop way short of your MRV, again, they have to, defend that point. So why would you do that? So there is a way to train where you keep the volume right at MEV and you progress intensity from low to high. You have to progress intensity much more then, but that still means that you progress from MEV to MRV. It's just intensity-based instead of volume-based. Still the same thing. It's another way to go about it. Like we answered in a couple questions before this, you should be progressing with volume a little bit more than intensity, I think, because that's the critical variable here, or the more important one. But I think a measure of both is a good idea.
Perfect. And I think actually it relates to a question that did come through, and we might have completely answered it, but I'll bring it up. It was from Dieter Olsen, who said, if you are making progress with a method or technique, how do you determine when to modify your approach? Do you let training run its course until progress slows, or manipulate it on a schedule? He said, not in contest prep or a fixed schedule, just lifting as a hobby and pursuing size and strength as a broad goal. Wondering if you think it's better to get while the getting good, or to follow a more regimented schedule, even if it means going away from something that's working well at times.
I'm trying to not answer this question in an overly aggressive manner. If you can continue to make progress on something for more than 8 weeks, you are undertraining because you're not accumulating the fatigue we would expect and running into accumulated fatigue that is so high that your progress stalls. So if you've been progressing for years on something without having to deload, then you could be progressing more by training harder. So the answer to the first part of the question is, if you have progress, should you just wait until you don't have progress? No, because you could have better progress. If you are training hard enough to need deloads every now and again, the deloads automatically reset everything, and then you try another approach. It could be the same approach, but you still have to restart it. So it auto-periodizes for you. So then the answer to that question is, should I do a more regimented style program? Well, the answer is yes, because the deloads will regiment it for you, right? There's very clear landmarks that go on. So, when people say things like, if I'm still hitting PRs, I'm still going to keep doing it. Like, generally speaking, as a general approach of what exercises you're using, tempos, rep ranges, volume ranges, if it's working, keep doing it, is great advice. But if something is like without deload working for months, how the fuck are you not accumulating fatigue? And a lot of times people who think they're not this person necessarily, or probably not, people who think they're advanced but are really beginners will be like, just fucking, like, an advanced guy will ask a question on Facebook and be like, hey man, what do I do about, like, how often should I alternate exercises or rep ranges? And some guy will come on there, I haven't trained for 6 months, and be like, just fucking don't worry about this plateau stuff. Just do something while it's good. It's good. Be like, oh, of course you'd say that, you cocksucker. You got 2 more years ahead of you of not having to change anything and make a PR. It shit just doesn't work for more advanced people. It's very hard to tell if the going is good. There's another one, like, if I'm making good progress, how do you know you're making good progress? If you can clearly tell week to week you're making good progress, fuck, you don't have to worry about any of this shit. Just do something and you'll get great. But the real answer is, I think, while the going is good, get it, don't change much. Very soon it will not be good. And then you'll have to think more. And then the regimentation, the periodization is going to have to be a tool you use to get out of the not going good. But for sure, when stuff's not going good, take some measures that you think are intelligent. Fundamentally, just learn sports science and you'll know that the two meet very well. And a good sports science approach is to set up for good goings predictably instead of rely on random chance. If going is, this is very much pre most of my education in this. When I had good, consistent results, I didn't so much care that I had good, consistent results as I cared about what is it about my circumstance that's causing this, because I want to repeat it. Like, if I woke up one day, I could shoot fireballs and fly, my first question would not be, oh my God, what am I doing with these powers? My first question would be like, can I get the government to scan my body and see if I developed a nuclear reactor by just overnight? Like, how? And the reason you ask how is, how can I do this again? How can I get great results again? Imagine that you found out that, the reason that your last bench press cycle worked well to make you stronger was because you did more pause work, and that's where you were weakest. That's why I did it, not because of the weird dips that you were doing at the end of your workout. Wouldn't that be great to know for future? So you wouldn't have to waste your time doing dumbass dips that didn't do anything, and you could do more pause work and get even? Of course. So when people say, like, should I just keep doing the shit while the going is good? Yes, but you better be damn well investigating why the going is good so that you can learn stuff so that eventually you plan good goings instead of experience them. Like, because this stuff isn't rocket science after all. You'd be like, why is the going good? Because I'm eating well, because I'm sleeping well, and because I'm intelligently monitoring my volume and intensity. Sweet. But then the going is going to be good all the time if you do that. There's no magic. And it's one of those things like, should I change things up? So if your sleep is good, if your eating is good, if your volume and intensity are properly manipulated, what the fuck are you going to change? But there's nothing to change because you're already training really well. I don't know what change it is people are looking for when they say, oh man, I'm not progressing well, I need to change things up. I'd be like what? I'd be like, I need to sleep more. Well, I could have told you that, and if you're looking for magic exercises, they don't exist. In powerlifting, you could be looking for limiting factor exercises and stuff like that. But in bodybuilding, we already know how to get bigger, man. You work from MEV to your MRV, you deload when you have to, and you pick basic exercises and hang with them for a while, and then you trade them out. That's it. And if he's asking how long do I wait to trade out particular exercises, then the answer is yes. When they start to stall out on you and you start to feel stale, that's when it's good to recycle exercises. So if, for example, if you're adding sets and reps to your barbell curls and it's been 3 months since you've done any other bicep exercise, you've been doing barbell curls, and you're getting gnarly pumps, you're getting stronger certainly every month and by a little bit each week, and your mind-muscle connection is great, and you visibly have bigger biceps, don't trade out barbell curls. Keep them in. At the end of that, maybe the next month, you're going to be like tendons are kind of hurting. The pumps aren't as great. I feel kind of stale. Then certainly trade them out. But remember, that's not going to happen week to week. That's going to be month to month. Then you're already doing structure. You know what I mean? Because the thing is do I impose a structure to alter things? You should already have a structure, but whether or not you alter within that structure is absolutely a feedback monitoring sort of thing. So it's the combination. It's not should I have a structure, if I'm not making gains? You should have a structure anyway, and then ask that question. Hopefully I answered that to some extent.
No, I really liked it, and I actually really liked your point on, it reminds me of something called the hindsight bias, where you kind of get a result and you put it towards something, but you don't actually know whether it was that or not. And there's so many things like that within kind of what we're doing as a trainee, whereas you don't necessarily know when that adaptation took place, what caused that adaptation, and whether the program you're doing last month was actually what caused it, or maybe it was the one you did many months ago that's now allowed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or you were fucking up a lot and now you're just doing something that doesn't fuck you up. So it's not that the program worked, it's that everything else sucked. This gets compounded infinitely with, of course, special sports supplement use, because you don't know, was it the supplements? Was it me? Or something in the training I was doing? An easy one is if you use in a PhD program, I had an advanced statistics for sports science class, which was unbelievable. But one of the statistical methods you can use basically relies on exposing yourself to a stimulus and then taking it away, and then later exposing yourself and then taking it away. And then if 3 or 4 times you've done this for several weeks or months at a time, and every time you have noticeably better gains with the exposure, it's probably not chance, right? And you can run formal stats on it and conclude to what probability is chance and what's not. But even if you're changing a million different things, it's every time I do leg presses, my quads really get bigger, or at least don't lose size. So I do them on a contest prep, they don't lose size. I do them on a muscle gain phase, they gain size. I do them in a muscle gain phase when my diet and training are really on point and everything's great, and they gain a crazy amount of size. It's I feel like leg presses are a good exercise. That is multiple mesocycles and multiple macrocycles to conclude that. It's sure as hell not yeah, man, I did fucking banded extensions and I really felt my triceps. I feel like they're great. You don't know that they're great. You might have just taken out some dumbass exercise you were doing that was hurting your elbows. For the first time, your elbows aren't hurting. Anything is going to work super great. So it's one of these things I have my exercises that I like, that are my favorites, that I think work best for me. I didn't know that they're my favorites for 10 years. That's how long this shit takes. So, when people say wow, the getting is good, you don't even know the getting is good. Program intelligently, do your best, see how your responses are, and keep going. What was it? One of my jiu-jitsu coaches, Paul Wicks, I'm actually going to his class in a couple of hours to train jiu-jitsu. Super sharp guy, and he likes to get philosophical every now and again. And he is basically his one little philosophical, not trick, but little interesting sort of tidbit is, what can you do to improve your best? If you're not improving, what should you do to improve your best? Do your best. That's it. So when people say like, you know, a lot of times when people ask like, oh man, I'm not getting good results, you know, what's the problem? Like, let's say they come up to you, Steve, and they're like, what's the problem with my program? Why I'm not getting good results? And you look over the program and there's nothing glaring in it. How the fuck are you supposed to know what the problem is? Maybe that just genetics are topping out. Maybe they had very small myonuclear domain, very small, you know, satellite cell pool, and they're almost out of satellite cells, even though they're 23 years old. That happens, right? You know, you don't know what it is. So all you can do is look at a program and say, okay, it seems like you're doing your best. And because that's the cool thing about the volume landmarks is, okay, find your MEV, find your MRV, work through it. If you're accurate about where those two are, there's nobody that grows above their MRV or below their MEV by definition. So we know we're getting your volume right. We know you're getting your intensity right because there's a huge range for intensities in progress, and you can try a bit of other intensities, bias a little heavier, bias a little lighter, but that takes a long time. So when people say like, oh man, you know, I haven't been making gains, you know, here's like my program, what do you think I'm doing wrong? Outside of some really fucked up shit, you got to say just like do your best and maybe change things slowly over time. It's going to take a long time for you to figure out what it is going on. You know, there's no magic where like, oh, wow, clearly you're doing that wrong. Like you have to really fuck up to not get good gains. How do we know that? Because a lot of bodybuilders and shit, powerlifters fuck up all the time, just not majorly, and they get great gains. You know what I mean? And it's one of these things where people think there's some kind of like magical code that you're like, oh, well, I'll tell you what, you're doing sets of 7 instead of 8. That's the problem. Like, that's not the problem. And then a lot of the times when you ask them, so why do you think you've not been making gains? They're like, oh, I don't know. But like, how much are you sleeping? Like, well, I've really been having trouble with sleep. What the fuck? Why are you even asking me this stuff? Well, you know already what to do. I'll put you this way, man. Okay. This is getting to something a little bit new. I don't think I've said this before. Greg Knuckles and I actually had a conversation about something very similar recently. If you're running the basics and you're not fucking them up, and you're not willing to jump into special sport supplements, or you already have, there's nothing for you that's going to be revelatory. There's not. I'm sorry. I wish there was. But my least favorite kind of consult is when someone's like, hey, here's how I'm training, here's how I'm dieting, but I'm not seeing really good results. I look at their shit and I'm like, that's what I would have said to do. And they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I've got to be honest, man. They're sleeping 9 hours a night. They're eating everything super well, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At least with special sports supplements would be like, somebody's selling you fake gear. But, you know, with naturals, I mean, you're just look, either you're lying to me or I honestly can't tell you. You know, like they're working through a broad spectrum of rep ranges, and they're like, what should I do? I'm like, you could try training a little heavier or training a little lighter. But you talk to them, and they're like, yeah, when I train lighter, I get great pumps. When I train heavy, I get great pumps and get, you know, really good muscle stimulus. And you're like, okay, it's clearly, because, you know, you could talk to someone and be like, yeah, I do a lot higher reps, but I don't really feel them, and I just get tired. I'm like, well, stop doing that. Mm-hmm. But you go through it, and they're doing everything right, and they're like, what can I do better? And you're like, man, we can get the little things a little better. We can really tweak it. But, you know, like, if you have a race car already, tweaking it only makes it go a little bit faster, man. We're not going to take a Ford Focus and turn it into a race car overnight. There's got to be something clearly wrong. So it's tough too, because a lot of the folks that's their first discovery of the limitations of their genetics. It's like when they were noobs, they did everything kind of wrong and they didn't see great results. And then they read a shitload of books. Now they're 3 years or 4 years into training, and they're training what they think is maybe really pretty well, but in reality, if you and I look at their shit, it's really well, and they're like, but I'm still not Phil Heath. And you just got to be like, bro, that time is never coming, and it's tough, right? It's tough to say, like, it's tough for me to do those consults emotionally, you know, because it's like, fuck, I don't know what to say.
I'm really glad you did say that, though, because I think there's probably a lot of our listeners who, I mean, I think to give the credit to you for the consultation, just having that with you, and then you going, mate, like you're doing everything you can do, I think that will just make them then just be like, right, get my head down, go. And I was going to say, I think a lot of the time for people who will be listening to the podcast, people like you and me, Mike, like we're very invested in this. Whereas I think there's just some people where it's ignorance is bliss, and they just go into the gym, just work pretty hard. They pretty much get their training, nutrition pretty much there, and they just see results over time, and they're ignorant to it. So they're not so much questioning things all the time. And it is time. I think a lot of the time it's just like, okay, like you just need more years of doing what you're doing.
I'm really glad you mentioned it because I didn't. So thank you for saying that. Time is in a lot like sometimes I actually dig in. This is actually a favorite thing of mine to do. They'll say, man, I haven't really getting really good results. And I'll be like, what kind of results were you getting? And they're like, I only put on 10 pounds of muscle last year. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with that? That's amazing. And they're like, yeah, but like, just keep doing that for 5 years and you'll put on another 30 pounds of muscle and then you'll be a fucking freak. And they're like, oh, okay. Like sometimes we all get caught up in thinking that like, you're supposed to put on muscle at these unbelievable rates. And just by the way, to set the record straight, because I know some of your listeners know who Broderick is and know that I'm working with him. I've had a couple people ask me, like, because, over the last year and a half, my physique's changed, like, noticeably. Why did it change? Broderick. What did he do? Well, motherfuckers know what he did, all right? And the good news is I take fewer special sports supplements than I ever have, but they're the right ones. And it's just a huge transformation now paired with good nutrition. And I had one guy ask me, it was a good question. He's like, did you change something with your training? I'm like, motherfucker, I had a PhD in training years ago. Like my training has been fundamentally sound for a decade. Like it was not the training. Okay. Broderick doesn't even consult me on my training, like hardly ever. It's just ideas, So when people see like myself having trained for basically 19 years, put on like 10 pounds of muscle in a year, they think, well, me training 5, I should be putting on 20. Like, And before I met Broderick and was already using special sports supplements, I must have, over the course of 4 years, only put on maybe 7 pounds of muscle. And I was using tons of shit. And you talk about guys like go to the Mr. Olympia, like Big Rainy. They're like, oh man, what's Big Rainy going to show up at? 300 and 315. They're like, what about 330? Like, he does not have the potential to put on that much muscle anymore, you dumb asshole. They're like, yeah, but he's Big Rainy. Like, no shit. You think he's not taking something? You think he's leaving something unturned? Like, pro bodybuilders will tell you, like Dexter Jackson, 10 years ago was competing at 235 pounds. Today, he competes at 245 pounds. Do you think Dexter Jackson is not doing something that could make him much bigger while keeping his waist in check? Of course not. He's doing everything he can. Phil Heath, if he got 10 more pounds of muscle without a bigger gut, he would never lose again for 8 years. It would be like 16-time Mr. Olympia. But it doesn't work like that. So when it doesn't work like that, even for the crazy super supplement guys, you got naturals at 5 years of training gaining 5 pounds of muscle a year. That is amazing. And don't let Instagram fool you with all this fucking bullshit about like, oh, I gained 20 pounds of muscle last year. That shit is not sustainable. It's not.
No, yeah, perfect. And I think that was probably a good place to leave the podcast on. And I think it was a positive message. It might have felt like a bit of a negative one. It might have put some people in perspective, but I think it was an actual positive one. It's kind of be patient, your shit, just keep moving forward with it.
Totally. And listen, if you bump into your genetics and even patience means you gain 1 to 2 pounds of muscle per year, and you're starting to think, do I really want to be jacked? Because clearly it's not in the cards. Do I want to spill a bunch of time into this? The answer may very well be no. And there may be beautiful other investments of your time that you can do in life. There's no embarrassment to choosing another direction. Like it doesn't make you hardcore to bodybuild too. Who's really hardcore? MMA fighters. Why? Because they can beat you up. Like you can tell them they're not hardcore, but they don't care. It's one of those like, and at the end of the day, let's say you don't amount to anything in MMA. You're not getting better as fast as you wanted to. They're dumb animals who beat each other in the face. They're proto-human. Who's got more, kudos? As a computer programmer does way more positive work for the world than an MMA guy. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, being a computer programmer, which is what I started being before I went on the bodybuilding journey, was already good. Yes, you're already a wonderful human being. You don't have to do any of this shit. If you like it, if you're getting great results, if you are willing to put in the patience, it's an awesome journey. But I just know, like, I've had several consults where people are like, I'm like 40 and I'm barely growing at all. What do I do? And I'm like, do you want to do this still? And they're like, I don't think so. And I'm like, you feel free to quit. And they're like, really? But quitting is stupid. And you're like, what? Like, you quit things when you have better things to do with them. Like, you quit single life when you have a kid and a wife, but that doesn't mean like that's bad. Are you fucking nuts? Like, I just feel like some people are like, man, once I start something, like, I've got to go to the top or else. And most of that's just not up to you. You do as well as you can. And when you realize that it's not worth your time anymore, you're an intelligent, good person for making the trade-off to saying, I'm either going to do it less or I'm not going to do it at all. Now, clearly everyone should train, but there's a difference between training 2 or 3 times a week for your health and pouring 6 hours of 2-a-day sessions and all this other shit. Mm-hmm. So I think, Steve, do you have anything to add to that? Because I think like some people are like, I have to be big. And you're like, why? Who cares?
No, I mean, I've had the discussions with clients of my own where they're kind of saying, like, I'm still able to do all this volume. I can recover and do more, but do I need to do it? And I'm like, well, you don't need to. You can get lesser results and continue to move like forward, but we could increase it. And it's kind of like, you have to make that decision. Is it enough for you to put that investment in using that kind of risk reward kind of cost benefit analysis?
Yep. If you like the results, great. If you like the process, especially if you like the process, because a lot of people are okay with the results and they like them, but they hate the process. I mean, you only literally live one time. Like, you want to be miserable for a long time? Sweet. That sucks. Those are years you don't get back, you know?
No, definitely. And I don't know if you've got anything you want to plug here. I know the mini cut manual will be out now, which I was super excited about because I wrote the forward for it. I've read through the mini cut manual and it was fantastic. And I know that's going to go down really well.
Hopefully it'll answer most, if not all, questions. As far as plugs, we have coming soon the RP Diet 2.0. It's the update to the RP Diet book. It's not going to be sold separately. It's going to replace the RP Diet book. So if you have the original, you got a fucking gold mine. Don't ever let it go because it's not going to be for sale anymore because it fucking sucks compared to the new one. The new one, so the old one was pre-editing. It was roughly 50 pages long. The new one, pre-editing, is 350 pages long.
Wow.
So as a matter of fact, can I give a quick chapter list that we have? All right. Oh my God, Google, come on. It tells me I'm not signed in.
I know we went through I think on the last Q&A, which isn't quite live at the moment, but it will be by the time this comes out, we went through all the myths and fads, and there was a ridiculous number there. Which is exciting.
Yeah, and that's just one chapter. But let's see if I can bring up. I have an outline. That's cool. Actually, I wonder if the outline even has all the chapters, because I think we added a couple of chapters after the outline was made. I need a new computer, Steve. This is getting old. Microsoft Word is taking forever.
It's Macs. You have to launch on the Macs. They use Pages.
Oh, don't use
horrible.
Don't you fuck. Oh, there you go. Right? Like, yeah, Macs are great. They suck. Well, it's thinking. It's thinking, Steve. It's doing something.
When is the book due?
So we're not totally sure. It's going to be summer, right? But it's probably end of summer. So there's 2 factors on when the book is due. One is how fast we get it done, which is part of it. But the other one, bigger factor, is how we plan it with our other releases, right? Like, because we release a variety of products every month or 2, and we have to time it to make sure it's not like too close to another product and stuff like that. So kind of as the book starts to be finished in editing, we look at the schedule and say, okay, all right, we're going to release it at the end of August, or the beginning of August is better, blah, 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 blah. We always have a couple of projects in the works. Steve, do you edit these things or no?
Yeah, they're edited. Well, Pascal does, so you can say hi to him.
Sweet. Tell Pascal to cut all this shit out. Forget I ever said an RP Diet book. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Outline. Okay. Outline load. If, yeah, okay. So here is RP Diet. Don't edit anything. RP Diet 2.0. Chapter 1, Diet Priorities. You know, the whole pyramid thingy. Chapter 2, Calorie Balance, like a lot of detail. Each one of these chapters is like 30 to 50 pages long. Chapter 3, Macronutrients. Chapter 4, Nutrient Timing, and the section on that is like enormous. talks about meal frequency, meal size variance, timing around activity, all kinds of crazy stuff. Individual macronutrient timing, all kinds of stuff.
People are going to
Food composition, chapter 5. Yeah. That's for the nerds. Most people are going to be like, what the fuck is this? Food composition, chapter 5. Supplements, chapter 6. Chapter 7 is diet adherence, which includes, the motivation and habit, basically how to onboard yourself into a diet if you've never dieted before, all this other stuff, adherence tips. Chapter 8, a whole chapter on hunger management. Chapter 9 is nutritional periodization, and it is a big chapter this time because we know a lot more.
Another one people
Yep. Chapter 10, designing your own diet. That chapter is like 70 pages long because we basically take you through the entire protocol of building your own diet. Chapter 11, monitoring your progress. We did basically a 2 to 3 page write-up on every single body composition assessment method, downfalls, upsides, how to use it, etc. I believe there are 12 of them.
Wow.
So, yeah. MRI, DEXA, underwater weighing, bod pod, skin fold, BAA, waist to hip, BMI, body weight, and a whole bunch of others. Chapter 12, body image and self-worth. So that's a psychology chapter about, like, do you need to be maximally lean? Maybe, maybe not. Chapter 13, special diet circumstances. That would be like vegans, pregnancy, and special conditions, competition day nutrition. We're going to have a water cutting section in there for powerlifting, etc. And then lastly, chapter 14 is in body composition and performance dieting.
Amazing. Maybe we'll have to get you on, do a chapter on do an episode on each chapter.
That would be totally cool. The good news is we're at the end of each chapter probably going to include a little graphic of take-home points, so that if you read the chapter, you're like, that was a lot of shit, I don't even know what I learned. Take-home points will be right there. Oh, and there's a section of special diet circumstances of the gut microbiome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yep. One of our PhDs, Gabrielle Fundaro, she did her PhD on gut microbiota. So
wow. I was actually going to ask you, Mike, I was going to ask you off air, but it's reminding me now, if there was someone you recommended to get on to talk about the gut. So maybe I can get in contact with her.
I'll put you in touch 100%. Just shoot me an email or a message, and I will put you guys right in touch, because she is ready to chat about it and highly, highly verbose and super, super educated on the matter. It's a whole lot of bullshit in that realm, as you clearly well know.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say you could just replace all your chapters with the snake diet as well. So
the snake diet book is coming out a little bit after the RP diet book, because we don't want it to interfere with sales, because clearly the snake diet's going to just, and it's like how to catch snakes, how to prepare them, eating snakes, what kind of snakes are the tastiest, snake diet.
I remember a random comment, but when I was in school, my teacher told me that snakes don't have a vertebrae. And I had a book that had skeletons from different animals, and I brought it in and I was like, no, it does have a vertebrae.
Oh my God. How did that interaction go after that?
I can't remember. I was literally like 6 years old.
Wow. When you lose a fucking debate to a 6-year-old, you're really done, or that 6-year-old's going to be a pretty good scientist later on. Wow, that teacher needs some kind of inverse award or something.
Amazing. Well, I think the audience is going to be super pumped for that, super pumped for the mini cut book as well. And just more exciting things to come on your end, I imagine. Lots more exciting things. Steve? And as always, sorry. Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, it's been great doing the London seminar with you, since this was coming out after. Yeah, hopefully we get some good selfies and get some good footage from that as well that people have already seen. So, I just wanted to say, finally, if people are ever interested in just finding out more, RP Plus is always a great service as well. And you always do the Q&As over there and bad-mouthing me. So I do love that. Doing God's work over there, Steve. Cheers, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you soon.